Alright, so if you don't have a piece of paper out, go ahead and get a piece of paper out. What we're going to do on this video is talk about simplifying radicals. We're going to start with the square root of 72. When I type it in my calculator, I see it gives me a decimal. So I know this is not a perfect square. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can make this square root smaller, make it more simplified. So in order to do that, think back, we did this in class. What multiplies to give me 72? Well, 8 times 9 gives me 72. From there, now I'm going to start looking at the numbers that are on those branches. Let's start with 8. What multiplies to give me 8? 4 times 2. 2. That's a prime number. I can't go any smaller, so I leave that. But this 4, 2 times 2 multiplies to give me 4. With my 9, 3 times 3 multiplies to give me 9. I now have all the numbers that are the smallest I can get, okay? I am not focusing on any of these other numbers anymore. I'm only focusing on these numbers that I got at the end of my branches. I'm going to circle my pairs. I have a pair of 2s. I have a pair of 3s. I do have one loner 2. So now what we want to do is go ahead and write our simplified radical. So go ahead and put my house there. Remember, when you're with friends, you go outside your house. So for each pair, you're going to write a single number to represent that pair. So I have a pair of 2s. I'm going to put a 2 here. I have a pair of 3s. I'm going to put 1 3 there. Notice that I put a multiplication sign in between these two numbers, saying I will need to multiply these two numbers since they are both on the outside. Lastly, I still have my loner 2. Loners, they're going to stay inside. I still got to finish by doing 3 times 2, which is 6, and then taking square root of 2 there. And that right there is my final answer. If I put in my calculator 6 square root of 2, I'll see that that decimal should be the same decimal that I got back when I did the square root of 72. If that's not the case, that means I did something wrong and I would need to go back and try again. Alright, let's try another problem. Let's try, let's see here. The square root of 125. Go ahead and pause the video and see if you can do this on your own. Then go ahead and play it and see if you did it correctly. Alright, so the square root of 125. Again, I put it in my calculator. And I see it is not a perfect square. It gives me a decimal, so I need to go ahead and figure out what multiplies to give me 125. Well, I see the 5 at the end, so I know 5 times something gives me 125. In this case, I see 5 times 25 is what multiplies to give me 125. Well, 5's a prime number. I can't go any smaller. 25, though. 5 times 5 gives me 125. It gives me 25. Again, these are the smallest numbers I can get. I'm not focused on that number. I'm not focused on that number. I'm focused on the numbers that are at the end of the branches. Circle my pairs. I put a box there around my loner. And then I'm going to start writing my final answer. Square root. My pair goes on the outside. My loner goes inside. And I get 5 square root of 5. Alright, let's try one more. Let's see here. Let's try square root of 200. Alright, so again, put in my calculator, I see square root of 200 gives me a decimal, not what I want. So let's go ahead and start figuring out what multiplies to give me 200. Well, 2 times 100, that worked. 2 is a prime number, so I'm not going to go anywhere there. For the 100, I can do 2 times 50. For 50, I can do 5 times 10. And for 10, I can do 5 times 2. Alright, scratch out the numbers I don't need. And now let's go ahead and start circling our pairs. I have a pair of 2s there. I have a pair of 5s there. And then a box around my loner. Alright, let's start putting everything in my radical. On the outside goes my pairs. I have a 2 and I have a 5. I also have one loner, 2. So my final answer is 10 square root of 2. And that's it. That's all you need to do when you are simplifying radicals.